Well, hello, beautiful people. The thing I put out yesterday caused a bit of a storm, and a lot of you didn't understand it, and a lot of you disagree with it, and that's fine because I don't say these things because I want to convince anybody. They're just my ideas, and if they resonate with you, and that's great, and if they don't, then I can respect that. I don't have a monopoly on truth or a monopoly on God or anything else, and nor does anybody else or any other organisation. But some of you just didn't understand or needed more explanation, and you wrote in and said that to me. So some very good friends have written in, and one wrote in and said that she thought that God was love, and so how could God also be evil, and how could God also permit suffering? So let me just go into that. First of all, I've never said God is evil. What I have said is there is no evil. In C.S. Lewis said to, what was it, believe two impossible things or four impossible things before breakfast or something like that. I think rather than impossible, let's say inconsistent. Now, when I was younger and fitter, I'm going to use an analogy now. It's just an analogy, that's all it is. When I was younger and fitter, I used to do a lot of hill walking, and I'm not a mountain climber. I've never been a mountain climber. I've never been out there with all the gear, going up sheer faces, but I've been up some pretty steep paths in some high country. And it's funny how your perspective changes the higher you get. You see a path that you don't think can possibly have anything to do with you, and as you get higher and higher and higher, you see it's actually part of the path that you're actually on. And vice versa, you think you see the path ahead, and you get higher and higher and higher, and you find it's a different path altogether. You see a peak, which you think is the peak of the hill or the mountain that you're climbing. And when you get close, you find it's the peak of another mountain nearby. And yours is even higher, and you've got further to go. To use Lewis's analogy, rather than going higher up the mountain, he is going deeper into the rabbit hole. So whichever analogy you choose, the perspective changes depending on where you are. And what can appear to be 2 or 4 irreconcilable beliefs can sit quite happily in your own mind if you accept the possibility that there are other bits of information that you'll discover as you climb higher or as you go deeper into the rabbit hole. It'll make it all link up and make sense. So what am I rambling on about? Well, okay, God is love. Yes, God is love. God is also the lion and the gazelle, as I said yesterday. Evil? Well, the gazelle probably thinks the lion is evil. And if the gazelle runs away and deprives the lion of his dinner, he probably thinks the gazelle's evil. It's a matter of perspective. There is no absolute good or evil. Richard Bach, in his... The thing that really woke me up, I suppose, was Richard Bach's book, Illusions, which came out, I think, in the mid-70s. I discovered it in the early 80s. I'd already done a lot of esoteric work before that, but it gave me a new perspective. And he uses the analogy of a parent, God, the is, as he calls God, the is. I call God the one. The one, the parent, sees his or her children playing, one day playing good guy, one day playing bad guy, and doesn't turn a hair, because the parent knows it's just a game. It's not serious. It's serious to the kid that's playing it, but the parent can look with love on the child that's playing the good guy and the child that's playing the bad guy. So yeah, God is love. God loves all of us, whether we're playing good guy or bad guy, today or in this incarnation. Because none of it is absolute truth. It's just the game we play while we're here, incarnate. This is my belief. You don't have to accept it. You could disagree with me. You can come up with all kinds of scriptures and all kinds of holy books that have been written through the centuries in different parts of the world that contradict what I'm saying. And that's fine, I can respect that. I'm not trying to push any dogma on anybody. I'm just explaining the truth as I have come to understand it. Which may be right, it may be wrong, it may be rightish but limited. Well, I expect it is rightish but limited. Another analogy that Richard Bach uses in the same book, and get a copy if you haven't read it, it's brilliant. It's light-hearted, it's fun, it's not meant to be taken too seriously, too literally. But there's a lot of wisdom hidden in it. Another analogy he uses is that we're all in a movie and we're playing the good guy or the bad guy in the movie. And it's our movie, and it's all ours, it's all our movie. My movie is all my movie. Your movie is all your movie. If you like horror films, then you'll create a horror movie, and you have the right to do that. And nobody has the right to tell you you can't. And if you like romances, then you'll create a romance-filled movie for yourself. Just don't think it's literally true, because it isn't. It's all existing right here. I mean, this was written back in the analog age. The whole film exists right here in one place in the canister. But you put it in a projector, you run it through one frame after another sequentially, and it plays out. But it's all existing right now in the eternal present moment. Together with all the other films that you've been in and all the other films you will be in the future, if you believe in linear time, which I don't. I believe in the eternal now. There's an Indian scientist, a Hindu, and I'm sorry I can't pronounce his name, but I'll put a link in the description below, has come up with a good scientific theory. With all the mathematics done, it pans out to say that consciousness is the foundation of all being. The current scientific dogma, and it is only a dogma, and science is just a religion, it's not that, don't take it too seriously. It changes all the time. And it's when it doesn't change, when new facts come up, but the dogma doesn't change because of the egos of the people at the top who withhold the funding from the new researchers coming up who want to change the dogma. So science is very limited. Don't believe it's the be all and end all, because it isn't. Where was I? Yeah, this Indian scientist whose name I can't pronounce has decided that, has proved, if you like, that consciousness is the foundation of all being. The dogma suggests that as brains get more sophisticated through evolution, they develop consciousness. But he says, no, that's bollocks, forget that, it's BS. The universe is conscious. The universe is a living, conscious being. God is a living, conscious being. And some people call it the universe, but of course God predates the universe. God predates the Big Bang. The one consciousness, the consciousness that the Hindus call Brahma, who is sleeping and dreaming that he's all of us. I read quite recently Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God, which he wrote in the late 90s. I only read it this year. And it agrees, there's 3 books, and it agrees in many points with what I say. He didn't get his ideas from me, I didn't get his ideas from him. We arrived at them independently. But we're certainly singing from the same songbook on this particular subject, not on everything. Absolutely not on everything, and not on politics. So get that series of books and read those. But never let any book or any YouTube video or any podcast, including my own, replace your own thinking. So that's really all I wanted to say to you today. On that subject, there's one other thing I want to talk about, and that's my friend Mayersky, who I mentioned before. And he's just been on a 4-week road trip and fact-finding mission around Europe, trying to find out what's going on with the bogey bug and all the rest of it. Talking to lots of doctors and different people. And he put a very, very good YouTube thing up yesterday. It's about an hour and a half. It's really good. It comes in 2 parts. Don't bother with part 1 because he just got cut off before he got started. And then he went into part 2. It's only part 2 you really need to worry about, which is about an hour and a half. And it finishes with a lovely meditation. So I'm going to put the link to that down below as well in the description, and I do urge you to watch it. It's brilliant. inspired. So that really is it for today. Namaste.